The Galactic Council chamber erupted in laughter as images of Earth's humans appeared on the massive display screen. The aliens, representing over 300 advanced civilizations, couldn't contain their amusement at the sight of these soft, fragile beings. Captain Reed of the Earth Defense Force stood quietly, maintaining his composure despite the mockery. He had been chosen as humanity's first representative to the galactic community, and he wouldn't let their derision shake him. "These creatures survived to space age," wheezed Ambassador Blue, a tall alien with crystalline skin. "They have no natural armor, no claws, no venom glands. How did they not get eaten by their planet's predators?" More laughter followed. The alien representatives found it hilarious that humans needed artificial protection from even their own sun, and couldn't survive extreme temperatures without special equipment. "Perhaps we should educate you about Earth's ecosystem," Reed suggested calmly. "You might find it interesting that we're not the most dangerous species on our planet." "Not the most dangerous?" Ambassador Green, a serpentine creature, slithered forward. "You mean there are even weaker species than you?" Reed smiled slightly. "Actually, I mean the opposite. Our oceans contain creatures that would make your strongest warriors think twice about entering the water." The chamber grew quieter, curiosity replacing some of the earlier mockery. Reed nodded to his assistant, who brought up new images on the screen, starting with a great white shark. "This is one of many shark species from Earth," Reed explained. "They've survived virtually unchanged for over 400 million years. That's longer than most of your civilizations have existed combined." The images showed sharks in action, breaching the water's surface, hunting in packs, demonstrating their power and speed. The alien delegates leaned forward, their earlier amusement fading as they watched these perfect predators in motion. "Impossible," Ambassador Blue whispered. "These creatures, they're almost perfectly evolved for hunting. Multiple rows of teeth, electromagnetic sensing organs, streamlined bodies capable of incredible speeds." "And that's just one type of shark," Reed continued. "We have species that can produce bioelectricity, sharks that hunt in the darkest depths of our oceans, and some that can even walk on land for short periods." The silence in the chamber grew deeper. The aliens watched footage of various shark species, from the massive whale shark to the bizarre-looking hammerhead. Their expressions shifted from dismissal to growing respect, and perhaps a touch of fear. "But how?" Ambassador Green started, then paused. "How did your species survive alongside such creatures?" Reed's smile widened slightly. "We didn't just survive. We studied them. We learned from them. We've even protected them. You see, on Earth, humans aren't the strongest or the fastest. We're not the biggest or the most naturally armed. But we are the most adaptable." He gestured to the screen, which now showed humans studying sharks, tagging them for research, and even diving alongside them in protective cages. "We survived because we learned to understand our world's apex predators. We learned to respect them, to learn from them, and yes, sometimes to avoid them. But mostly, we learned that being the strongest isn't always the key to survival. Sometimes, it's about being the smartest, the most innovative, and the most determined." The Galactic Council chamber remained silent as Reed's words sank in. The laughter from earlier was completely gone, replaced by thoughtful, and slightly worried, expressions. "So yes," Reed concluded, "we may look soft and weak to you. But we evolved on a planet that produced sharks. And if you think that's impressive, wait until you hear about our other predators." The alien representatives exchanged nervous glances. Perhaps they had been too quick to judge these humans. Any species that could not only survive but thrive alongside such perfect predators deserved a second look. And judging by Captain Reed's confident smile, he had many more surprises to share about Earth's dangerous wildlife. Ambassador Green raised a scaled hand. "You mentioned other predators, Captain Reed. Surely nothing could rival these, sharks?" Reed's expression remained neutral, but there was a glimmer in his eyes. "Computer, display footage of the deep ocean predators." The massive screen flickered, and the chamber darkened. Images of the midnight zone of Earth's oceans filled the display, revealing creatures that made several alien delegates shift uncomfortably in their seats. "This," Reed said, pointing to a massive shape with rows of bioluminescent lights along its body, "is a giant squid. It hunts in complete darkness, at depths that would crush most of your submarines." The footage showed a battle between a sperm whale and a giant squid, tentacles wrapping around the massive mammal in a deadly dance. The Alien Council watched in stunned silence as these titans of the deep clashed in the darkness. "Remarkable," Ambassador Blue muttered. "The pressure at those depths, our best ships would struggle to survive there." "And yet," Reed continued, "humans have built vessels to explore these depths. We've documented these battles, studied these creatures, and learned from them. Our understanding of these deep-sea predators has helped us develop better technologies, better materials, better ways to survive in hostile environments." The screen shifted to show various deep-sea creatures, anglerfish with their bioluminescent lures, viperfish with teeth longer than their heads, and gulper eels that could swallow prey larger than themselves. Ambassador Yellow, who had been quiet until now, spoke up. "These creatures, they evolved in total darkness? With such pressure?" "Yes," Reed answered. "And they're not even the most surprising ones. We have fish that can walk on land, octopi that can solve complex puzzles, and eels that can generate enough electricity to stun a horse." He paused as new footage played, showing various marine creatures demonstrating their unique abilities. "But what's truly remarkable isn't just their capabilities, it's how they've shaped us as a species." The screen changed to show human deep-sea exploration vessels, submarines, and research stations. Every challenge these creatures overcame, we studied. Every adaptation they developed, we learned from. Their ability to withstand extreme pressure helped us design better diving suits. Their bioluminescence inspired new lighting technologies. Their hunting strategies influenced our military tactics. Ambassador Green slithered forward again, their earlier mockery completely forgotten. "You're saying your species deliberately studied these creatures? Weren't you afraid?" Reed smiled. "Fear and curiosity often go hand in hand for humans." "Yes, we were afraid. But that fear drove us to understand, to learn, to adapt. While your civilizations focused on conquering space, we had to master our own world first, a world filled with creatures that could kill us in seconds." The chamber erupted in murmurs as the aliens discussed this new information among themselves. The idea that such a seemingly vulnerable species had not only survived but had turned their planet's deadliest creatures into research subjects was challenging their preconceptions. "There's something else you should know," Reed added, his voice carrying across the chamber. "These creatures you're seeing? They're not even from our most dangerous waters. What could be more dangerous than these?" Ambassador Blue asked, their crystalline form shimmering with concern. "We have waters so treacherous that even our most experienced sailors fear them. Places where multiple predators hunt together, where the water itself can kill you, where storms can swallow entire ships." Reed's voice was calm but carried a weight that made the alien delegates lean forward. "And yet, we sail those waters. We build cities near them. We study the creatures within them." The Alien Council chamber had completely transformed from its earlier atmosphere of ridicule. Now, the representatives watched the human captain with a mixture of fascination and growing respect. "Perhaps," Ambassador Yellow suggested, "we should reconsider our initial assessment of human capabilities." Reed nodded. "That would be wise. Because everything I've shown you so far? It's just the beginning. Wait until you learn about what lives in our rainforests." The chamber erupted in excited and nervous chatter. The aliens were beginning to understand that they had severely underestimated not just Earth's predators, but the species that had learned to coexist with them. And judging by Captain Reed's confident demeanor, there were many more surprises to come. The Galactic Council chamber's lighting shifted to a warm green as Captain Reed prepared to reveal Earth's next set of predators. Several alien delegates who had started the session laughing at humans now sat forward in their seats, their earlier amusement replaced by intense curiosity. "Computer, display Amazon rainforest footage," Reed commanded. The screen filled with dense, vibrant jungle scenes. "This is just one of Earth's many rainforests. It contains more predator species than most planets have total life forms." The first image showed a massive snake coiled around a tree. "The anaconda," Reed explained. "It can grow longer than our largest vehicles and crush prey with enough force to break steel pipes. They hunt in water and on land, and they've been known to take down creatures as large as deer and caimans." Ambassador Blue's crystalline form flickered with concern. "And humans venture into these areas?" "We don't just venture there," Reed replied. "We study them. Live among them. Learn from them." The screen showed researchers carefully measuring a sedated anaconda. "But they're not even our most dangerous snakes." New footage appeared, showing a small, colorful frog. Several alien delegates tilted their heads in confusion. "This tiny creature," Reed continued, "carries enough poison to kill 10 adult humans. We call it the golden poison frog. A single touch can be fatal. And yet, indigenous humans have learned to use its poison for hunting, turning the deadliest toxin on Earth into a tool." Ambassador Green's scales rippled with interest. "You weaponized these poisons?" "We studied them," Reed corrected. "Their toxins have led to breakthroughs in medicine. That's the difference between humans and many other species. We don't just avoid dangers, we learn to understand them." The screen shifted again, showing a jaguar stalking through the undergrowth. "This is one of our apex predators. Perfect night vision, powerful enough to crush turtle shells, and smart enough to hunt both in trees and water. They've been known to take down caimans, our jungle crocodiles." "Your planet has multiple types of these crocodiles?" Ambassador Yellow inquired. Reed nodded. "Different species evolved for different environments. But perhaps the most impressive thing isn't the predators themselves, it's the way they interact." The display showed a complex web of predator-prey relationships, with humans notably positioned not at the top, but integrated throughout the system. "In our rainforests, danger doesn't come from just one direction. You have to watch the ground for snakes, the trees for spiders and birds of prey, the water for caimans, and every shadow for big cats. Even the plants can kill you." The alien delegates exchanged worried glances as images of various toxic plants and parasitic organisms filled the screen. "But here's what truly sets humans apart," Reed continued. "We didn't just survive these dangers. We learned to read the forest. When the birds go quiet, it might mean a predator is near. When certain frogs call, it might mean rain is coming. We learn to understand our world's deadliest environments by paying attention to every detail." Ambassador Blue's crystalline form pulsed with realization. "You're saying your intelligence, it evolved because of these threats?" "Exactly," Reed confirmed. "Every predator, every poison, every danger forced us to become smarter, more observant, more adaptable. We couldn't outfight an anaconda, so we learned to avoid them. We couldn't outrun a jaguar, so we learned to use tools and work together." The chamber was silent as this information sank in. The aliens were beginning to understand that Earth's seemingly endless array of deadly creatures hadn't weakened humanity, they had forged them. "And remember," Reed added, his voice carrying a hint of pride, "this is just one rainforest. Earth has many more, each with its own unique predators and dangers. Not to mention our deserts, mountains, and plains." Ambassador Green's tail twitched nervously. "How many dangerous species does your planet have?" Reed smiled. "We're still discovering new ones. But here's something to consider: humans have visited every corner of our world. Every deadly environment, every hostile habitat, we've been there. We've studied it, documented it. And in many cases, we've learned to call it home. The alien delegates murmured among themselves. The species they had initially dismissed as weak was revealing itself to be something far more interesting, survivors of a world that would give their bravest warriors nightmares. Now, Reed said, turning to a new display, shall we discuss what lives in our deserts? The chamber's lighting shifted to a warm orange as the display filled with sweeping sand dunes and rocky outcrops. Several alien delegates wiped their viewing organs, as if the mere sight of the harsh desert environment made them feel the heat. These are Earth's deserts, Reed announced, where temperatures swing from blazing hot to freezing cold within a single day. Where water is scarce, and the sun can kill as surely as any predator. Yet even here, life thrives, and hunts. The screen showed a sidewinder rattlesnake moving across the sand, its unique locomotion leaving distinctive tracks. Our desert snakes developed special ways to move across hot sand. They can strike faster than a human can blink, and their venom can kill within hours. But how do they survive the heat? Ambassador Yellow asked, genuinely curious. They adapt, Reed replied. Many are nocturnal, hunting in the cool darkness. Others burrow beneath the sand, waiting to ambush prey. But they're not the only hunters we need to watch for. The display changed to show a scorpion glowing under ultraviolet light. These arachnids have survived virtually unchanged for hundreds of millions of years. Their venom can vary from mild to lethal, and they can survive extreme conditions that would kill most other creatures. Ambassador Blue's crystalline form shimmered with interest. They glow? Under certain light frequencies, yes. Another adaptation we learned from and used to our advantage. But watch this. The screen showed a scorpion surviving in various extreme conditions, being frozen, submerged in water, exposed to radiation. They can survive radiation levels that would kill humans many times over, Reed explained. They can slow their metabolism to survive on a single meal per year. Some can live underwater for days. We're still studying how they do it. The alien delegates murmured in amazement as they watched these ancient survivors demonstrate their resilience. But perhaps most impressive are our desert big cats, Reed continued. The screen showed a mountain lion stalking through a rocky desert landscape. They can leap 6 times their body length, survive in both blistering heat and snow, and have been known to take down prey many times their size. Ambassador Green's scales bristled. You have predatory cats in every environment? Most of them, Reed nodded. They've adapted to nearly every habitat on Earth. But in the desert, they're not even the most surprising predators. The display shifted to show a golden eagle swooping down to catch its prey. Our desert raptors can spot small prey from kilometers away. Their talons can exert pressure comparable to industrial clamps, and they've been known to knock animals off cliffs as a hunting strategy. The chamber fell silent as they watched the eagle's calculated hunting techniques. But here's what makes Earth's desert predators truly remarkable, Reed continued. They don't just survive, they work together in ways you might not expect. The screen showed various desert scenes, ravens leading wolves to prey, coyotes working with badgers to flush out hidden animals, and different species sharing hunting grounds in complex ecological relationships. In the harshest environments, Reed explained, life finds ways to cooperate, even between different species. Humans learned this too. The indigenous peoples of our deserts learned to read the behavior of predators and prey alike. They learned which plants could provide water, which animals signaled danger, and how to move through predator territory safely. Ambassador Blue leaned forward. Your species learned to survive in these conditions without natural adaptations? We did more than survive, Reed replied. We studied these creatures, learned their habits, and used that knowledge to expand our understanding of biology engineering, and survival techniques. Every desert predator taught us something valuable. The screen showed modern desert research stations, solar farms, and sustainable communities. We turned one of Earth's most hostile environments into a place where we could not only survive but thrive. And we did it by understanding and respecting the predators that were there first. Ambassador Yellow's tendrils waved thoughtfully. These adaptations, they seem impossible for a single planet. That's just the desert, Reed smiled. Wait until you see what evolved in our mountains. When the air gets thin and the cold becomes deadly, that's when some of our most surprising predators appear. The alien delegates shifted uneasily. Each new revelation about Earth's predators seemed more incredible than the last, and they were beginning to understand why humans viewed their seemingly fragile nature as an advantage rather than a weakness. The chamber's atmosphere grew noticeably cooler as the display shifted to show towering mountain peaks wrapped in clouds. Several alien delegates instinctively drew their environmental suits closer as they watched snow whip across jagged cliffs. These are Earth's mountains, Reed announced. Where the air becomes so thin that most species can't survive, where temperatures drop below freezing, and where predators have evolved to hunt in conditions that would kill most creatures instantly. The screen showed a snow leopard moving gracefully across a near-vertical cliff face. This is one of our most elusive predators. They can leap distances of up to 15 meters across ravines, hunt on slopes steeper than most spacecraft can land on, and survive in temperatures that would freeze your environmental suits solid. Ambassador Blue's crystalline form clouded with disbelief. How can any creature move so efficiently in such conditions? Evolution is remarkably creative, Reed replied. Their tails are nearly as long as their bodies, helping them balance on impossible slopes. Their fur is thicker than any other big cat's, and their wide paws act like natural snowshoes. The display changed to show the leopard hunting, taking down prey 3 times its size on treacherous mountain ledges. The alien delegates watched in stunned silence as the predator demonstrated perfect control in conditions that would challenge their best exploration vehicles. But they're not alone up there, Reed continued. The screen shifted to show a massive golden eagle soaring between peaks. Our mountain eagles have been known to knock mountain goats off cliffs, carry off small deer, and even challenge other predators for their kills. Ambassador Green's scales rippled with interest. These birds, they can fly in such thin air? Not only can they fly, but they can spot prey from kilometers away and dive at speeds that would tear apart most flying machines, Reed explained. Their eyes can focus on multiple distances simultaneously, like having built-in zoom lenses. The screen showed eagles diving through fierce mountain storms, their wings cutting through wind speeds that would ground most aircraft. But perhaps most impressive are our mountain wolves, Reed continued. The display showed a pack moving through deep snow, coordinating with incredible precision. They hunt in family groups, using strategy and teamwork to take down prey many times their size. They can survive temperatures cold enough to freeze your blood, and they've learned to hunt in conditions where most creatures couldn't even walk. Ambassador Yellow's tendrils twisted in fascination. They operate as a collective? More than that, Reed replied. They have complex social structures, advanced communication systems, and hunting strategies that we're still trying to fully understand. They've even been known to adopt injured members of other species into their packs. The chamber filled with murmurs as footage showed wolves working together to bring down much larger prey, protecting their young, and teaching their pups to hunt. But here's what makes mountain predators truly special, Reed continued. They've mastered an environment where one mistake means death. Where every hunt could be their last. Where the very air they breathe could kill them if they go too high. The screen displayed a montage of mountain predators, snow leopards leaping impossible gaps, eagles diving through storms, wolves coordinating complex hunts, and bears fishing in icy mountain streams. Humans learned from all of them, Reed explained. We studied how they move, how they conserve energy, how they survive the cold. Their adaptations have influenced everything from our cold weather gear to our military tactics. Ambassador Blue's form pulsed with realization. Your species, you turn every threat into a learning opportunity? We have to, Reed nodded. We weren't born with fur or claws or wings. We had to learn from those who were. And in doing so, we gained something perhaps more valuable than natural weapons, knowledge. The screen showed human mountaineers scaling peaks, scientists tracking snow leopards, and researchers studying wolf pack behavior. Every predator on Earth has taught us something, Reed continued. But what you've seen so far? That's just the beginning. Because we haven't even discussed our polar regions yet, where the real survival challenges begin. The alien delegates exchanged nervous glances. They had started this session believing humans were weak, defenseless creatures. Now they were beginning to wonder if perhaps they were the most dangerous species of all, not for their physical capabilities, but for their relentless ability to learn from every predator they encountered. The chamber temperature seemed to drop further as the display shifted to vast expanses of ice and snow. The alien delegates watched as blizzards howled across endless white landscapes, creating conditions that seemed impossible for any life to survive. Welcome to Earth's polar regions, Reed announced. Where the sun vanishes for months at a time, where water turns to stone, and where some of our most powerful predators rule. Here, survival isn't measured in days or hours, but in minutes. The screen showed a massive white bear moving across the ice. The polar bear, the largest land predator on Earth. They can swim for days in freezing waters, smell seals through a meter of solid ice, and have been known to hunt whales. Ambassador Blue's crystalline form crackled with surprise. That creature hunts whales? The massive marine mammals you showed us earlier? Young or injured ones, yes, Reed confirmed. They've even been observed using tools, throwing rocks and ice blocks to stun their prey. But what's truly remarkable is their adaptation to the cold. The display showed thermal imaging of a polar bear. Their fur isn't actually white, it's transparent and hollow, trapping heat while appearing white for camouflage. They're so well insulated that they're almost invisible to thermal imaging, a technology we use to detect heat signatures. Ambassador Green's scales shivered visibly. Your planet evolved predators that can hide from advanced detection systems? Nature beat us to quite a few technological solutions, Reed smiled. But polar bears aren't the only hunters in these regions. The screen shifted to show a pack of Arctic wolves moving through a blizzard. These wolves have evolved to be larger and more heavily built than their mountain cousins. They can travel up to 160 kilometers in a single day, hunting in conditions that would freeze most creatures solid. The aliens watched as the wolves demonstrated complex hunting strategies, using the harsh weather to their advantage and coordinating through the howling wind. But perhaps most impressive are our Arctic marine predators, Reed continued. The display showed an orca breaking through ice. We call them killer whales, though they're actually dolphins. They hunt in pods, using strategies so complex we're still trying to understand them. The screen displayed orcas creating waves to wash seals off ice floes, coordinating underwater to herd fish, and even beach themselves temporarily to grab prey from the shore. They teach these hunting techniques to their young, Reed explained. Different pods have different strategies, almost like cultural knowledge. Some have even learned to work with human fishing boats, leading to a remarkable partnership between species. Ambassador Yellow's tendrils waved in agitation. These creatures, they can learn new hunting methods? Not just learn, they innovate, Reed replied. We've documented them developing new hunting strategies in response to changing conditions. But they're not even the most surprising predator in these waters. The display shifted to show a massive creature breaking through Arctic ice. The Greenland shark, one of the longest-living creatures on Earth. They can live for over 500 years, hunt in complete darkness beneath the ice, and have been found with polar bears and reindeer in their stomachs. The chamber fell silent as the aliens tried to process this information. A predator that could outlive entire civilizations, hunting in conditions that would destroy their best exploration vessels. Humans have learned to survive alongside all of these creatures, Reed continued. We've built research stations on the ice, studied their hunting patterns, and even learned to predict their behavior. Every adaptation they evolved, every strategy they developed, has taught us something valuable about survival in extreme conditions. The screen showed human settlements in the Arctic, icebreaker ships navigating frozen seas, and researchers tracking polar predators. But here's what you really need to understand, Reed's voice grew serious. Everything I've shown you, the sharks, the jungle predators, the desert hunters, the mountain killers, and these polar beasts, they all exist on Earth right now. Not in our past, not in different eras, but simultaneously. This is the world we grew up in. These are the creatures that shaped us. The alien delegates sat in stunned silence. The species they had laughed at hours ago had survived and thrived on a planet that seemed designed to create perfect predators. And now, Reed concluded, a slight smile playing at his lips, would you like to know what happened when we decided to start exploring space? The Galactic Council chamber had transformed from a place of mockery to one of rapt attention. The alien delegates who had laughed at humans hours ago now sat in thoughtful silence, processing everything they had learned about Earth's incredible predators. You asked about our space program, Reed said, his voice carrying across the chamber. Let me ask you something first. What do you think happens when a species evolves on a planet full of perfect predators? The screen behind him began showing images of early human space exploration. We learned stealth from our big cats, endurance from our wolves, problem-solving from our ocean predators. Every creature that tried to eat us taught us something valuable about survival. Ambassador Blue's crystalline form pulsed with understanding. You applied these lessons to space exploration? Exactly, Reed nodded. When we needed to design ships that could withstand extreme pressure, we studied sharks. When we needed to create cooling systems for our spacecraft, we looked at how desert creatures regulated their temperature. When we needed to develop navigation systems that worked in total darkness, we studied deep-sea predators. The display showed various human spacecraft and space stations, their designs subtly echoing the natural adaptations of Earth's predators. But more importantly, Reed continued, growing up on a predator world taught us something crucial about survival in space: always be prepared for the unexpected. Ambassador Green's scales rippled with interest. Explain. On Earth, death can come from any direction, at any time. A shark from below, an eagle from above, a snake hidden in grass, a spider in the dark. We learn to constantly scan our environment, to plan escape routes, to have backup plans for our backup plans. The screen displayed astronauts training underwater, in desert conditions, in Arctic simulations. We don't just train our space explorers to handle known problems, we train them to expect the unexpected. Because that's what Earth taught us, survival isn't about being the strongest, it's about being the most adaptable. Ambassador Yellow's tendrils twisted thoughtfully. This explains why your space protocols are so thorough. When your planet's filled with creatures that have survived multiple extinction events, Reed smiled, you learn not to take survival for granted. Every space mission we plan includes elements we learned from our predators. Multiple redundant systems? We learned that from sharks with backup sensory organs. Emergency protocols? Inspired by how pack animals respond to threats. Even our quarantine procedures were influenced by how predators deal with unfamiliar threats. The chamber screen now showed a split display, Earth's predators on one side, human space achievements on the other. The parallels were striking. But here's the most important lesson Earth's predators taught us, Reed's voice grew serious. In space, just like in nature, there's no room for arrogance. The moment you think you're at the top of the food chain is the moment you become vulnerable. The alien delegates shifted uncomfortably, remembering their earlier mockery. Every predator on Earth, from the smallest poison frog to the largest whale, has something to teach us about survival. We're not the strongest, the fastest, or the most naturally armed species. But we might be the best students the galaxy has ever seen. Reed gestured to the final image on the screen, a simple photograph of Earth from space. That blue planet you see? It's not just our home. It's our teacher. Every predator, every challenge, every near-death experience shaped us into what we are today. The chamber was silent as the implications sank in. The species they had dismissed as weak had been forged by millions of years of survival against the most efficient predators evolution could create. So yes, Reed concluded, we may look soft and fragile to you. We may not have natural armor or claws or venom. But we learned from creatures that do. And more importantly, we learned from creatures that have survived on Earth far longer than we have. Ambassador Blue spoke up, their crystalline form glowing with newfound respect. And now you bring these lessons to the stars? Reed smiled, and for the first time, several delegates noticed how that smile resembled a predator's grin. Exactly. Because if there's one thing Earth taught us, it's this: in any environment, no matter how hostile, life finds a way. And humans? We've learned from the best teachers in the galaxy. The Galactic Council chamber erupted in excited discussion. The species they had laughed at now appeared in a completely different light. They had expected to find simple prey, but instead discovered something far more interesting. A species that had turned their greatest weakness into their greatest strength, the ability to learn from everything that tried to kill them.